world is pretty weird right now. Normal people, the consumers, seems to hate AI. They are afraid of losing their job, tired of slop content, and tired of seeing wasteful amounts of resources being poured into something that only seemingly will benefit all of the world's billionaires. And then we have the marketing hustle bros who just can't get enough of glazing AI, hyping it every second and just hoping it's the next train to get rich quick. But stuck in between that are people like you and I, tech enthusiasts and gamers who actually even know that there are some benefits of using AI here and there. Some of us even uses AI for things at work, or we use it daily. But we are hurt by the gigantic, enormous price increase in hardware, and it's becoming more and more hard to see how it is, even though it's a helpful tool for us, how it will help us in the future more than it's just helping those few tech billionaires. What felt really cool in the beginning now just feels like a dystopian inslobification of everything. Like Microslop, a once beloved operating system, now is just feel like it's turning against us. And something funny related to that, it seems that Microsoft can't even get their own employees to use their own AI. It seems that Microsoft employees are paying for some other AIs, right, from OpenAI and other stuff out of pockets. There are several news stories about this all over social media right now. There's one gateway to freedom, the one thing that we all had. The internet, gaming, tech tinkering, and online small social clubs around topics that we all enjoy seems to be the last free bastion on the internet. But as we can see with Discord, they want to take away that freedom too. They want to take away our control, our right to ownership, and most of all, our privacy. And that's why Linux has become so popular. And it's no longer for the smartest of the nerds anymore. Now it's for the next level, like us, the tech enthusiast nerds, that's just getting our eyes opened up to see why Linux feels so super exciting. I'd say that maybe even a bit further to the non-techie gamers as well. For the last 2 weeks, or actually a little bit more right now, I've been using Linux Mint on my laptop here, and I'm trying to find the distro operating system of Linux that I want to switch to on my main rig, my big working station. And I can say that for the time you're watching this, and I'm recording this right now, I've already changed my distro. Now I'm not using Linux Mint anymore, I'm changed it to something else. But let me just take you through my Linux Mint experience. When you're getting into Linux, almost all blog posts, YouTube videos, and Reddit posts say that you should start with Linux Mint. I get that Mint is a very unscary way to get started with Linux. Comparing it to the distro I now changed to, it just doesn't feel as good. Linux Mint is, in my opinion, a bit boring version of Linux that won't just satisfy that I don't know how to describe it. That Mint works when installing it, but it has no flavor. It's not a Linux for gaming. It's not a Linux for productivity. It feels like it's not a Linux for something. Actually, I would say the Linux Mint is a very, very good study Linux. Unless you're forced to use something that only works on Microsoft like CAD or Adobe or something in your studies. And I would like to dub Linux Mint as the student Linux. In the same category, we could put in like a mom or grandma PC. Great for a PC that you use to read news sites, log into Boomerbook to complain about politicians and taxes, to check mail and send very incoherent text to your grandchildren. But I guess you can use a Chromebook for that as well. Linux, and also Linux Mint, has a very good use case. Every Linux has this, and this is reviving old hardware. Mint is my, albeit short experience, a very unscary way to take old hardware and keeping life in it virtually forever unless the hardware actually dies. What you may or may not know is the PC hardware is seldom what just end up dying on the hardware part, but it's more like planned obsolescence from the big tech companies.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
That makes our PCs less and less useful over time, especially if you're running Microsoft bloat those. My personal laptop here is a refurbished ThinkPad that I bought for about 130 or 140 if you translate that into dollars, because I bought it from a refurbishing store and not from Facebook Marketplace, which just basically means that I have a cleaned out PC with great battery, which is, in my opinion, two of the most important things. And if you're able to clean a PC, and if you're able to to change your battery when it degrades over time, you can actually have a PC for a very long time. But this laptop here with only 8 gigs of RAM would really suffer if I had to run Microsoft Spydos 11, because that bloatware of an operating system easy will gobble up 6 or 7 gigs of RAM just being idle. But here comes Linux as the extender of life for old hardware. In a world where we get told all the time that we need to take care of our Earth and be more environmentally minded, the biggest company on Earth literally forces us to throw out our PCs, which very well might be some of the worst environmentally thing that we can do. Maybe. I don't know. But I do know for 90% of non-gamers, throwing out old hardware that works perfectly fine is really, really bad. But what I can say right now is Linux Mint is just not my flavor. But hey, what's so cool about Linux is that just because Mint is not my flavor doesn't mean that Linux is bad, like at all. I can just change to another distro. Mint also feels like maybe a tiny bit more bloaty than what I'm currently using. And hey, subscribe if you want me to tell you what I'm currently using. Linux Mint is also, in my opinion, a great use case as an office PC. Not Microsoft Office, but like a PC for companies with non-work specific software. I don't know this, but I think that most office workers in 2026 use a software like Office, which could be turned into LibreOffice or OpenOffice. Even the military, from what I can find, is not using Microsoft Office. So for all business PCs that doesn't need to use something like Adobe or CAD or something specific that only will run on Microsoft, they are a perfect fit for Linux Mint. A PC which maybe only needs a mailing software, some office writing programs, and then a browser. I believe that what most of people do in office jobs today is something that they do in the browser. But I might not be right about that. I believe most likely that most of these office workers would not accidentally get viruses. I believe that most likely companies that does this would save tons of money and have a less environmental impact. And then the money saved on Microsoft 365 could be used to like an in-house server, like very cool, like set up a company server, preferably not in the cloud, but an in-building server where you can house all the important documents that you can maybe only access if you're on location and from a PC that's like coded into the NAS or something. I don't know how that would work. I'm not a sysadmin. And then maybe when you're out of the building, you can only access what's on the computer for safety reasons. All in all, my conclusion of Linux Mint is that it seems to be a great distro. It's just not the flavor I want. Oh, the distro I'm testing right now is CashewOS. And if you want to see my opinion on CashewOS when the video is live, it's going to be here. If it's not live yet, then YouTube will pick something that you are most likely to be interested in. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.